there was anything about the pandemic that was unique in the food ways, it was sourdough bread. When the yeast wasn't easily available in the store anymore, not because you can't make yeast, but rather because there was no packaging for it, because India was shut down and that's where all the little jars came from. So Americans turned to the obvious thing to do, which is to make yeast at home, easily done. Lots of people call this a sourdough, but historically, this is what people did to make bread all the time. You'd keep a little crock of this in your pantry. You'd feed it every few days. You remember to do it. You feed the dog, don't you? You feed the cats or the fish. You have to feed your sourdough. So you have a nice bubbly dough in here. People shared it during the pandemic. People were swapping their dough, different kinds of doughs around. Not all of it was sour. This is actually a very sweet kind of a dough. And to be truthful, I can't even remember for sure who gave it to me. Makes a wonderful loaf of bread. It smells good. It's not particularly sour. If I let it sit around in the heat, probably get sour. So this has been, actually I've just kept this in the refrigerator for a couple of days because I had some other things to do, like make pickles. So now it's time to build on this a little bit. This is just, bubbly flour, water, and lots of little yeasts in there, all, rubbing shoulders and getting friendly and making gas. So what we want to do is add a little more flour to this. You can see just a scoop. And I'll just fold it in like this. Now, I'll have to add a little water to this too, and I'll just do this every little while until finally I have enough to make a loaf of bread or 2 loaves of bread. You just have to, after you've made this a few times, you can do this by just eyeballing it. So you can see here it comes together like this. If I want to make a small loaf of bread, I could do that with this amount right here. But I like to aim for something bigger. And if I was going to make a loaf of bread at this point, I would add enough flour so that it would get quite shaggy. This is shaggy in here, but it's not very shaggy yet. So there we are. That's all it took. In fact, most houses have so much yeast in them that you can sit out a little dish of flour and water and just wait a couple of days, and pretty soon you'll see action in there. Especially kitchens like this, full of yeast and bread activity, beer and wine.